I think the #1 responsibility that we have in the United States Senate is to pass a budget and to lay out to the American people how we're going to spend the resources that come in. The last time we passed a budget, as you mentioned, was 1,111 days ago. We spent over $10 trillion of the U.S. taxpayers' money during that time. To be honest, I have quit voting for any spending bills, until we come to a point in time where we at least lay out to the American people how much of their money we're going to spend and what we're going to spend it on. Again, each year with $3.5 to $3.6 trillion being spent by a federal government with no plan. I am embarrassed for this body, candidly, that we haven't even tried to take up a budget. I know that the committee itself began to take one up just a few weeks ago, and the chairman was asked not to do it because it made no sense to do a budget at this time. Thankfully, the parliamentarian ruled in this body that it was appropriate for us to take up a budget. And again, I just can't imagine a greater shirking of our responsibilities than to lay out to the American people exactly where their dollars are going. Mr. President, I want to say that what worries me most is this is the greatest transference of wealth from these pages, from their generation to my generation, that has existed in modern history in this country. I mean, there's a tremendous transference of wealth as we do not deal with the issues of Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. What we're doing is actually piling up tremendous amounts of indebtedness just so the people of America will like us more as politicians, as we don't make difficult decisions and we don't have to wrestle with the fiscal issues that we have as a nation. Mr. President, this is a thing that really is ailing Western democracies around the world. I mean, we're seeing this play out, obviously, in Europe right now as citizens are rising up in protest over having to deal with the tough issues of the day. And there's been this grand bargain in Western democracies, ours being one, where politicians have given citizens what they wish without asking them to pay for it. And I think we all understand that this is up now. I mean, we have a dilemma in this nation. We have a dilemma around the world right now because of our inability to deal with this issue. And so in the process, what we're doing is basically transferring wealth from this generation to my generation. It is absolute generational theft, and I think speaks to the greatest vulnerability we have as a nation. If you speak to all of our national security analysts, you speak to anybody in this body, and we know that our greatest threat is not what's happening in China. It's not what's happening in Iran. It's not what's happening in Syria. But the greatest threat to this nation is we ourselves. And for some reason, this body has chosen to totally shirk our responsibilities as it relates to dealing with this issue. I know that over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have the opportunity to really vote on some budget resolutions. I agree with the senator from Wisconsin. I would hope there would at least be some way that this body could come together and present a budget for debate. If not, I know there's going to be some alternatives that are put forth. But again, this is the greatest threat to our nation, and that is our inability to show the kind of discipline that we need to show as a nation. Our country's greatness is dissipating as we continue to shuffle this under the rug and not deal with it. And I do hope that the United States Senate at some point soon will rise up and deal with the major responsibilities that we have in this nation, and that is putting our country on sound footing. And let me just close with this. I don't think there's anything that we can do that would cause our economy to lift off more quickly than for people in this nation and people around the world to know that we actually have dealt with pro-growth tax reform and entitlement reform and passing longer-term budgets and discretionary caps that would put this nation on sound footing. I believe the economy would take off. I hope that's what we rise to do before the end of this year.